This panoramic view is one of the most important works of art depicting New Ulm's early history. It was completed in 1860, drawn by Julius Berndt, who is best known as the father of the Hermann Monument. Born in Silesia in 1832, Berndt emigrated to the United States at age 20. There he joined the Chicago Landverein, part of the colonizing society that founded New Ulm, and settled here in 1857. During his career, Berndt worked as an architect and contractor, designing the first Turner Hall, which was destroyed during the Dakota War. Berndt was also a tireless promoter of his hometown, and this image, a view of New Ulm, was printed in Cincinnati and widely distributed throughout the German-American communities of the East.
Well, clearly it was designed as a promotional piece to bring people into New Ulm, to draw new German settlers. I think because of the German propensity to create insular communities, probably the most desirable new settlers would be Germans like themselves, like the Germans who were already there. And so I think that he consciously highlighted in that panorama of the town of New Ulm the kinds of things that would be appealing, things like a wharf that showed commercial development. You can see a mill. You also notice one of the things I think that jumps out in that picture is the spaciousness. And one of the reasons that Germans were emigrating at that time are lack of access to land and economic conditions that made it no longer possible to live in what they had considered a traditional lifestyle as artisans, farmers, and so on. As capitalism, the Industrial Revolution really changes circumstances in Germany, which makes America that much more attractive. And I do think the other piece that really needs to be highlighted in that panorama is the teepee in the foreground. And because the fact that New Ulm was near Native Americans would have been a great attraction, because Germans, for whatever reason, were absolutely entranced by the idea of Native Americans, and actually continue to be up to the present day. They have organizations where they dress up in Native American garb and they have encampments and so on. So that attraction still exists, but of course the Native Americans that they were so enamored of were romantic versions that really didn't have much connection to real flesh and blood Indians. Well, then when they encountered, real people, they had no cultural brokers to help them understand one another. For other groups, for other immigrants who came from within the United States, English speakers in particular, you had people of mixed ancestry, who were called mixed blood people, who were able to explain the culture of whites to the Indians and the Indian culture to the whites. So help kind of create bridges to understand one another. But when the Germans came, of course, there's a language barrier, and they don't have those connections with mixed blood people. And so there's no one to help translate, and I don't mean only in language, but I mean in cultural terms as well. There's no one to translate between the Dakota people and the Germans, who are, as the Dakotas see, usurping their lands.
It provides a remarkable record of the city in its early years. But just 2 years later, this peaceful scene was shattered, and much of the city lay in ruins. Could this picture, an idealized image of the town, have shaped how the people of Brown County reacted to the events of August 1862?
He presented the possibility with this image of them coming here and replicating everything that they liked about their communities in Germany, or in the German-speaking areas that they came from, without having to learn new cultural ways, basically, from the people who already live there. I mean, they don't seem like they're demanding in any way. And of course, the reality of the situation was very different, and it led to lots of cultural conflict. So it shows why, I think one of the interesting things about this poster is it shows why people would have been so taken aback when they arrived, because they had this vision in their mind of what life was going to be like for them. And when they were actually forced to confront a very different reality, it was very difficult to change gears and come to terms with that, and why people would have been so completely confused by that.
Berndt's view of New Ulm was adapted in the 20th century by artist Carl Fender, the grandson of one of the city's founders. Fender's painting was originally completed for the Citizens Bank and is now in the collection of the Brown County Historical Society.